Hello team, welcome back. And today we will see how we can create the first job in Jenkins. So let's start with. First, we will understand the functions which is available on the Jenkins main page. Then we will create a Jenkins job and then we will execute that particular Jenkins job. To create the Jenkins job, we need to open the Jenkins in a browser. So I will enter the IP of my machine on which I have installed the Jenkins and define port 8080. You can see I'm on Jenkins login page. I will enter my credential. After the login, you will land on this particular web page. You can see this is my dashboard and this is the basic web page which Jenkins offers to the user. Over here we have the search bar. In this search bar we can search for the jobs which we have created on the Jenkins. This is the Jenkins menu bar, right? And over here we have different items. If you want to create something new, you need to go to the new item. People will define the users which are connected on this particular Jenkins or register on this particular Jenkins. This will define the build history. Manage Jenkins will basically use to manage the Jenkins server. With the help of the my views, you can create your own personalized view. With the lockable resources, you can define the lockable jobs. With the credential, you can manage the credential of the users which you have registered on the Jenkins server. And here is the new view, which is just to create the new view for you, right? As we want to create a Jenkins job, now we will go to the new item and over here we will enter the job name. Suppose I'm taking the job name first sample job. Over here we are getting the different kind of options. I will understand all these things once required in this particular course. First, we will go to the freestyle project. To create our first job, we will click on OK button. Now it will render you on this particular view. Over here, we have the parameters which we need to define with my job. With the help of these all things, you can configure your job. You can see over here, I'm getting the description. You can enter the description. This is the optional one. I have entered the description. This is my first Jenkins job in this project. Generally, though, entering the description or defining the description of the job is very helpful because the job name sometimes may confusing, but the description of that particular job easily defined that what is the function of this particular job. Then we are getting the different general options like discard old builds. There is a checkbox. If you will check the checkbox, it will ask you to enter a few parameters. Discard old builds basically remove your build history from the Jenkins. If you will define max of builds to keep and you will define 5 over here, it means if you will execute this particular job, the first sample job 6 times, then the sixth entry will be removed from the Jenkins history. If you will leave it as it is, then it will not remove the old build history from your Jenkins. Generally, to keep the discard old builds is helpful because if you are discarding the old builds which is in no use, then definitely you are saving the disk on your server, plus you are saving the disk on your backup server as well. I'm taking maximum 5 builds and after the 5 builds all the old builds will be discarded. We can define the days to keep build as well. Suppose I'm defining 7 days. Basically it will choose any of the best option. If you are executing your project multiple times in a day, then definitely this will go with this particular 5 builds because you are executing more than 5 builds in a day. But if you are not executing your project more frequently, then it will go with this particular option, the number of days. Now we are getting the GitHub project. If I will check it, we need to define the GitHub project URL over here. I will not go with this particular right now. This project is parameterized. If you want to create some parameterized project, suppose you are executing some jar file and that jar file is accepting few parameters, then you can use that particular thing over here, right? We will discuss about it in the coming lectures. Throttle builds. This is definitely a good option to check. Throttle builds will define the number of concurrent build you can execute on this particular server. If you are defining one build, it means the one copy of this particular job which we are creating, first sample job will be execute on this particular server at a time. If you are defining 5 over here, then you execute the first sample job 5 times in a parallel on this particular server. I will keep it 1. Once required, I will increase this particular number as well. Now we are saying disable this project. Definitely we are not going to execute this. Now the second section is the source code management. Over here by default we are getting Git and we are getting SVN. If you want to download the code at runtime with the help of the Jenkins job, you can configure the Git over here. In the next lecture I will show you how we can configure the Git. I will keep it none And we have the second option, svn. In the same way you can configure the svn as well. Right now I'm not defining the source code management, so I will keep it none. Then we have the build trigger options, which we was discussing in the earlier lecture, that how can you trigger your build. The first option is triggered build remotely. If you want to trigger this particular build from some other server, from some other website, then you can choose that particular option, define the authentication token, and execute this particular job externally. Then we have the build after other project are built. It means you can make this particular job dependent on the other jobs as well, right? This is called the multi-level jobs. You will define the hierarchy between the jobs, and the child job will execute once the parent job will execute and finish success. I'm not going with this particular right now. Then we have the build periodically. If you want to execute your build periodically, if I will define 5 stars, star space star and again a star, it means this particular job will execute every minute, right? If you go with this particular question mark, then over here you are getting the complete description that how you can create your own regular expression. I'm not going with this particular right now as well. Then we have the github hook trigger from git scm polling. It means we was talking that the job will execute on every commit. This is the same thing. You can create the github hook, and you can configure your repository in this particular job. So whenever a new commit is going to that particular GitHub repository, this job will be automatically triggered. Then we have the poll SCM. This is the same thing. This will poll the source code management as per your defined location. It means if you are defining the poll SCM and we are defining some regular expression over here, then this job will poll your source code management directory in that particular defined time. Then we have the build environments. If you want some specific build environment, you can use that particular option. Delete workspace before builds start. It means if you are executing this particular job multiple times on a same machine, so when Jenkins will execute a job, it will create a workspace in the temp directory for that particular job, right? Generally this is a best practice to use this particular thing. It what it will do, first it will delete the workspace which Jenkins has created earlier for that particular job, and it will create a new workspace when start this particular job. How this will helpful? This will helpful that this will discard the old build results and create a fresh workspace on that machine, so that there is a minimum chance to take the old cache or the old results. Use secret text files. This is definitely for the password or the data protection. Abort builds if stuck, you can choose this particular thing as well, right? Over here you can define some time. It means if some job is stuck, some job is executing indefinitely, then that particular job will be automatically abort if you are going with this particular option. Add timestamps to the console output. Definitely I would like to add timestamp to my console output. Now we are getting the next build and post build actions. Inside the build you can define the thing which you want to build, right? Either you want to build your own project, you want to execute some file, you want to execute some war file, you want to package something, you want to execute some docker commands. Anything what you want to do with this particular job, you can build over here. You can mention that particular thing over here. And next is the post build actions. It means once this particular job will complete successfully, what you want to do with this particular job. Either you want to send some email, or you want to trigger some other job on the successful execution of this particular job. We can mention that particular thing in the post build actions. So let's go with the build first. And as I'm executing the Jenkins on a Linux machine, so suppose I'm executing some shell file, and over here I will insert the shell which I want to execute. So you can see over here I'm mentioning in shell script, and inside the shell script I'm introducing a for loop. This for loop will execute from 1 to 10, and over here I am putting a condition. See, if the value of a, the variable which I'm taking, is 5, then it will take a sleep of 10 seconds, and after this it will print again. So what this will do, this will print the number from 1 to 4, right? And once the value will match to 5, it will take a sleep of 10 seconds, and then it will print the rest of the values. So once I will execute this particular job, the thing which I have mentioned inside the build, they will execute, right? Inside the post build action, you can see I'm getting email notification, archiving the artifact, build parameters. So I will discuss about all these things in the coming lectures. Let's save this particular job, right? If you will go to the home of your Jenkins again, then you can see the basic view is being changed and we are getting a job over here. If you want to execute this particular job, you need to go to this particular job, and this is the particular job view. Over here we are getting the name of my job, and over here we are getting the description which I mentioned in my job. We are getting the disable project. If you want to disable this particular job, you can click this, and here we are getting few job configuration like the workspace changes which are done, the status, delete project, configuration, rename. If you want to again edit this particular job, you need to go to the configuration, then that will open the same page on which you was working. I will click on save. Now if you want to execute this particular job, you need to click this particular build now option. Just click this, and this job is executing and it is done. If I will open it, go to the console output. Console output will show you the output of the job, and over here you can see I'm getting some error and it is saying sh unexpected operator, right? Although that shell script will work perfectly fine if I will execute that on Jenkins on a Linux box, but due to some errors that is failing, I will fix that and again execute this particular job. So I'm modifying the job a bit. I'm modifying the shell script what I'm executing. First I am mentioning the shebang, and then I am putting some semicolon after the if statement. I believe this is required in the shell. I will save it, and if I want to execute it again, I will again click on build now option. You can see this is executing. I will open the job, go to the logs, and see this is printing from 1 to 4, then waiting for 10 seconds, and after 10 seconds it has printed the rest of the options. You can see in the timestamp as well we are getting the 10-second gap, 9:14:10 and 9:14:20, right? If you will go to the job, then job is green. I would like to show you one more thing. I will reconfigure it again, and instead of the 10 second I will put a wait of 30 seconds. Save it again and build it. Just refresh your browser, and you can see once the job is executing, you are getting a progress bar over here, right? And this counter is blinking, right? Until job will not complete, this will start blinking. See, the job is still not complete, and it is blinking, right? So once the job will be in progress, you will get the status in progress until it will be success or failed. So this is the Jenkins first job. This is the way how we can create the job and how we can configure the job and execute the job. See, the job output is successful. So thank you team. Thanks for your time. If you have any doubt, any question, then please let me know. In the coming lectures, we will go through the complete job and the complete Jenkins in very detailed manner. So don't worry about anything. If you have any question during the configuration of the job, I will explain you each and every bit of piece which is inside the Jenkins configuration. Don't worry about it. So thank you team. Thanks for your time.